After hosting my parents for 2 years while they got back on their feet, I walked into my own kitchen to find them holding a family meeting about selling my house without telling me. My father smirked and said, "It's better for everyone this way." I evicted them that night. 6 months later, they were living in a motel, calling me every week begging to come back. I bought my first house when I was 29. Nothing fancy, 3 beds, 2 baths, ranch style in a quiet neighborhood just outside Fort Collins, Colorado. I worked 2 jobs for almost 7 years to afford the down payment. I was proud of it. It was mine. No roommates, no landlord, just me and my dogs in a quiet backyard where I could finally breathe. Then my phone rang. It was my mom, crying. My dad had lost his job again, some contractor gig that didn't pan out. They were behind on rent. She said their landlord had served them papers, and they had nowhere to go. They'd exhausted everything. Savings gone. Credit trashed. "We just need a place to stay while we figure things out," she said. "A few months. That's all." I hesitated. Not because I didn't care, but because I knew my parents. My dad is the kind of man who can't keep a job for more than a year. Too proud to work retail, too lazy to start over. My mom follows his lead in everything. She's spent most of her life covering up his messes. But still, they were my parents. They gave me life. Raised me. I told myself I owed them this. So I said yes. I cleared out the guest room. They moved in the following week with a couple boxes and a suitcase each. My mom cried again when they arrived, said she was ashamed. My dad was quiet, but he hugged me hard and said he'd start applying for jobs first thing Monday. That was the first lie. It was fine at first. They helped with groceries, did some cleaning. My dad watched a lot of TV, but he said he was researching opportunities. My mom cooked dinner every night and made these big breakfasts like we were a family again. I actually felt kind of good about it. Like maybe this was one of those rare moments where life gives you a do-over. They stopped paying for groceries. My dad still hadn't found a job. I asked once, and he snapped, "Do you know how hard it is out there right now?" Then he turned up the TV and ignored me. My mom gave me the usual sad eyes and told me not to push him. They'd started rearranging the house. My mom brought out some old throw pillows I hadn't seen in years. One day I came home to find my living room set rearranged, with their lazy boy right in the middle. I asked where it came from, and my dad said, "We had it in storage. It's more comfortable anyway." No one asked me. They'd taken over the whole house. My dad started answering the door, checking the mail, even arguing with the neighbor about a fence like he owned the place. My mom started hosting little, coffee mornings, with her church friends in my kitchen while I was at work. One of the neighbors asked me if I was renting a room from my folks. I just stared at them, speechless. We weren't speaking much. My dad treated me like a roommate who didn't pull her weight. He complained if I came home too late or if I left dishes in the sink. Once, he actually grounded the Wi-Fi because I wouldn't respect house rules. I started sleeping with earplugs just to get some peace. The worst part? I started doubting myself. Every time I got close to kicking them out, I'd feel guilt. What kind of daughter kicks out her own parents? What would people think? But then came the moment that changed everything. The day I walked into the kitchen, I came home early on a Thursday. We'd just landed a huge account at work, and the office let out early. I was smiling, planning to celebrate with a quiet night and a good bottle of wine. The minute I walked in, I heard voices in the kitchen: my dad, my mom, my cousin Tina, and my uncle Rick. All sitting around the table with a laptop open. At first, I thought maybe they were planning a trip or something. Then Tina said, "This area's booming. If we list it right, we'll get multiple offers." I froze. My dad said, "Exactly. It'll be a bidding war. Then we all come out ahead." I stepped into the room and said, what are you talking about? They all looked up. My mother's face went pale. Tina muttered something and closed the laptop. But my dad? He smiled. That smug, punchable smile I'd grown to hate. It's better for everyone this way, he said. Calm. Like he was doing me a favor. I just stared. What is? He leaned back. The house. It's too much for you. You're not using all the space. We've been looking into options. Don't worry, it's still in your name. For now. But we figured if we all cash out, it sets everyone up for a fresh start. I laughed. It came out like a cough. My house, I said. You were going to sell my house? My mom jumped in, crying again. Sweetheart, please don't be mad. We were going to talk to you. No, you weren't, I snapped. You were holding a secret meeting. In my kitchen. Planning to sell my house without telling me. Rick tried to play peacemaker. You're overreacting. It's just a discussion. I turned to my dad. Get out. He blinked. What? You heard me. You and Mom. Pack your stuff. You're out. He laughed. You can't be serious. I walked over and unplugged the Wi-Fi router, something petty and impulsive. Serious as hell. That night, I texted my lawyer friend. By the weekend, they had formal eviction papers. They didn't leave right away. My mom cried every day. My dad stomped around the house slamming doors like a teenager. For 2 weeks, I lived in hell. Every conversation was a fight. Every silence felt like a loaded gun. My dad refused to pack. You have no right, he said one night, standing in the hallway in his boxers. We've lived here for 2 years. This is our home, too. I stared at him. It's not. You don't pay for it. You never did. He laughed. So now it's all about money? I changed the water heater last year. Painted the damn garage. You think that counts for nothing? You mean the water heater I bought? The paint I paid for? He walked into his room, slammed the door, and shouted loud enough for the neighbors to hear, ungrateful little brat. The next day, I installed security cameras. That's when things escalated. A week before the court date, I came home to find all the locks changed. My key didn't work. My parents weren't answering their phones. I had to call a locksmith just to get in. They'd gone out for dinner. When they returned and saw me inside, my dad looked confused. How'd you get in? I live here, I said, holding the new key. You're violating our privacy. I showed him the paperwork proof of ownership, the pending eviction. He shoved it away. Paper doesn't mean anything. Family means something. I was shaking. You lost the right to that word when you tried to sell my house behind my back. They didn't speak to me for the next 3 days. The secret storage unit I found it by accident. I was checking my credit online habit I picked up after the first time my dad used my name to open a phone account years ago and noticed a charge to a storage company I didn't recognize. I drove over during lunch. The guy at the desk was reluctant at first, but when I showed him my ID, his face went pale. Unit 134, he said. Under your name. They've been storing stuff there for months. I opened it and felt sick. Boxes of my belongings, clothes, old journals, childhood keepsake stuff I thought I'd lost or assumed was packed away in the garage. They'd slowly been moving my things out of the house. Planning for a day when I wouldn't be there. I took photos. Every angle. Every box. I sent it all to my lawyer. We added it to the court file. They showed up dressed like it was Sunday service. My mom wore pearls. My dad had his one good blazer. The judge barely let them speak. The photos. The recordings from the kitchen conversation. The storage unit receipt. It all told the same story. They weren't victims. They were squatters. When the judge ruled in my favor, my mom broke down sobbing. My dad just glared at me like I'd stabbed him. "You'll regret this," he muttered under his breath as we left the courtroom. I didn't say a word. I changed all the locks that night. Installed new deadbolts. Upgraded the security system. And when the sheriff showed up that Friday morning, I watched from my car as my parents were escorted off my property. 2 duffel bags each. Everything else was tossed or hauled away. I didn't feel proud. I felt numb. They didn't just use me. They tried to erase me. They didn't disappear after the eviction. I hoped they would. But people like my parents, they don't vanish. They linger. They hang on like rot. 2 weeks after they were removed, I started getting mail again. Not mine. Letters addressed to them. At my address. From credit card companies, a medical collection agency, and something from a payday lender. I took the stack to the post office. The clerk told me I had to return it all as not at this address. I asked how long it would take for it to stop. She shrugged. Sometimes. Never. I shredded everything. But it didn't stop there. It started with Mrs. Halvorson next door. She caught me outside pulling weeds and asked how my parents were doing. I haven't seen them around. I hope they're all right. I told her they moved out. Didn't offer details. "Oh," she said, surprised. "They said they were taking over the house. You were moving to Denver." "What?" "That's what your dad told me back in January. Said you got a job offer out of state and signed it over to them." That was the moment I realized they'd spent months planting lies. When I checked with the HOA president, he confirmed it. My parents had attended 2 meetings on my behalf. Spoke on issues. Voted. Claimed they were the owners. They'd been laying the groundwork for that kitchen ambush a long time. They thought they could just erase me, legally or socially. I ignored every call. Every message. But curiosity got the better of me after a few months. I looked up the number they kept using and traced it to a motel on the edge of town. One of those cheap extended stay places behind a gas station. The kind with weekly rates and doors that open to the parking lot. I drove by once. Didn't get out. Just sat in my car across the street, engine running, watching. And I saw them. My dad came out first. He looked smaller, thinner, like someone had drained the life from his shoulders. My mom followed him, still in that old beige cardigan she wore when she wanted sympathy. They were carrying plastic bags. Walking down the road. I don't know where to. I didn't feel sad. I felt vindicated. They had everything. A second chance. A roof. Food. Warmth. They had me. And they threw it away the second they thought they could gain something more. But it wasn't over yet. In October, I got a bill from AT&T, $489.68. I hadn't used that carrier in 2 years. I called customer service. They pulled the account. Opened in your name in June, the rep said. 3 phones. Unlimited plan. High data usage. I knew what it was. I had to file a police report. Turn over my ID, copies of old bank statements, and proof I lived at a different address during the date the account was opened. They'd done it again. Stolen my name. My credit. My peace. This time, I reported it. No more protecting them. No more second chances. When the detective called to confirm my statement, I told him everything. All of it, he asked. Every detail. He sighed. This may take a while. I've got time, I said. It took 3 months, but the detective followed through. He called me again in early January. We've confirmed identity theft, he said. Your parents used your social security number to open multiple accounts. How many? I asked. 5. 1 cell plan, 2 store credit cards, a payday loan, and a gym membership in your name. A gym membership? I laughed bitterly. My dad can't even bend to tie his own shoes. We're preparing to issue charges. Do you want to move forward? I didn't answer right away. I stared at the ceiling, the quiet hum of my house buzzing in my ears. My house. I thought about everything. The time they lived here. The lies. The fake family meetings. The storage unit. The theft. And still they'd never once said sorry. They just called, week after week, leaving voicemails like it was me who had done something wrong. So I said yes. I want to press charges. The trial didn't make headlines, but it felt big to me. My parents sat across from me in a small courtroom. My dad looked angry. My mom looked empty. They were charged with fraud, theft, and identity crimes. They pled not guilty. I sat through every hearing. I watched them squirm as evidence was laid out, every phone plan, every dollar spent under my name, every lie. They didn't even try to explain it. Just kept saying it was a mistake, that I'd agreed to help them out, and changed my mind. The judge didn't buy it. My dad got 8 months probation and a $5,000 fine. My mom got 6 months probation and had to attend a fraud prevention course. They were also barred from opening credit in my name for 10 years. But the punishment wasn't the point. The point was the paper trail. The legal record. Proof, written and sealed, that I hadn't imagined what they did to me. That I wasn't some ungrateful daughter turning her back on her poor, struggling parents. They made their choices. And now they had to live with them. They still live in that motel. Last I heard, they moved to one closer to Greeley, a little cheaper. Word got around in the family. My cousin Tina sent me a single text, "What the hell happened?" I didn't answer. Uncle Rick hasn't spoken to me since the eviction. But that's fine. I didn't like him much to begin with. My credit took a hit. It'll take years to fix. But I'll manage. I always do. They call sometimes. Still leave voicemails. Still never say the word sorry. Just, it's cold. We're sick. We miss you. Can't you just talk to us? Please. I never answer. Because here's the truth no one likes to say out loud: family doesn't mean free passes. They didn't just use me. They tried to erase me. And I finally stopped letting them. I look around my house now and it feels like mine again. Every wall, every floorboard, every inch of peace. Sometimes revenge isn't loud. It's not fire and screaming and slamming doors. Sometimes it's quiet. Just you, sleeping soundly in the home they thought they could steal. While they rot in a motel off the highway, waiting for a call that will never come.